Hey everyone, welcome back for another devotion on our journey with Jesus together. I hope you've had a good Sunday, that you've been able to worship already. We had another good service at Hickory Grove this morning with our drive-in worship. And I just want to invite you, if you are looking for a church home, we would love to have you visit us at Hickory Grove in one of these Sundays to come as we continue our drive-in services. Well, on our journey with Jesus today, we're reading through Matthew chapter 17. There's a lot that takes place in this chapter, more than we have time really to talk about today. The beginning of the chapter is what we would call the Mount of Transfiguration. And essentially, Jesus takes three of his disciples, Peter, James, and John, up this mountaintop, and there is transfigured. Moses and Elijah come, and it essentially is proving that Jesus is going to fulfill the law from Moses, the prophets, from Elijah. There's a lot more to see here that I just don't have time to cover today. But what I want to spend our time talking about is that Jesus and his three disciples, as they come down this mountain after that experience, they come across the 9 disciples that are remaining, and a crowd is gathered because a man has brought his son who is sick to those disciples, hoping that they can heal his son. And as Jesus and these 3 disciples approach, the problem ensues because the father looks at Jesus and says, listen, my son is sick. He stands in need of a healing touch. I brought him to your disciples and they could not heal him. And that's a problem because remember back in Matthew 10, Jesus had already given his disciples the authority to heal in his name. And so what we see Jesus doing is going to be he rebukes these disciples, and then he rebukes a demon out of that sick and ill son. And it becomes obvious that that was a demon-oppressed child. And so following that experience, the crowd leaves. And picture this, the Bible says that those 9 disciples approached Jesus privately, most likely in an embarrassing, their tail was between their legs, and they come to Jesus and say, hey, why could we not do what you did? You gave us this authority to drive out demons, to heal the sick, and we were unable to. Why is that? And Jesus says simply, because of your little faith. Now, I don't think Jesus is talking about there the strength or the measure of their faith, but where their faith was sourced and what they were placing their faith in. Perhaps after they had received this authority from Jesus, they had become a little bit cocky and arrogant. Maybe these 9 were a little bit jealous that they weren't included in the ability to go up this mountain and have this great mountaintop experience with Jesus on the Mount of Transfiguration. No matter what it is, Jesus critiques and identifies the problem. Their inability to minister was their lack of faith. In fact, he says if you would have faith the size of a mustard seed in the right place, you could move mountains. And that's the key that we need to see today about faith. That you can have a whole lot of faith in your abilities, your skills, your resources, what you know, and you'll end up disappointed. Jesus says you can have the faith that's small, the size of a mustard seed, and place it in the right source, and it is mountain-moving faith. That's the thing about biblical faith. It's only as good as its source. And I want to encourage you today to make sure in all areas of our life that as we're pursuing this life of faith, that we wouldn't be like these 9 disciples, unable to minister, unable to be effective, unable to walk faithfully with the Lord because of our little faith in a little source. Let's make sure our faith is firmly rooted and resting in a sovereign God, that he would be the source of our faith, knowing that if that's true, we can have mountain-moving faith in him. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless.